Hello everybody, Ben Rogers here, the Raptors Digest, reacting to this year's NBA trade deadline. We are live about 37...
This year's trash deadline, Ben.
The Walmart trade deadline, Riker. But this has been a wild one. Norman Powell, Raptors legend, has been moved, so we'll be reacting to that. Another Raptor has been moved. We'll talk about him after Matt Thomas. And Kyle Lowry is still up in the air with 37 minutes left to go after all of Raptors media announcing him gone. It'd be really weird if he doesn't get traded. Riker, the first thing we got to dive into is that Norman Powell deal, if you want to break it down.
The Norman Powell deal is the worst trade that I've ever seen the Raptors participate in. I don't understand what Masai Ujiri's long-term plan is. People will make the argument that in trading away Norman Powell, who's 27, who's on the last year of his contract, you want to get some value back for him. So you've traded for Gary Trent Jr., who's on the last year of his rookie contract, Rodney Hood, who just came back from an Achilles injury. He is, I think, a team option, or at least you can waive him after the end of this season and not have to pay for his final year of his contract. 0 picks. That's the sticking point. 0 picks. When there was 15 teams shopping Norman Powell, we ultimately could trade this guy who's a transcendent scoring shooting guard, maybe the next great shooting guard in the NBA based on his three-point shooting percentage this year. 0 picks. Ben, I'm mortified that this trade happened.
So, initially, when it happened, I was pretty shook. Again, for the things that you mentioned, Norman Powell shooting 45% from the three-point line, right? That made me say, oh geez, I got the shirt on right now. But seeing Norm get dealt to the Portland Trailblazers, and I saw Gary Trent Jr. there, who, again, is good, and we'll talk about him a little bit. We'll dive really deep into him, but is a young player, certainly not established, had a great bubble, had a bad start to the season, has bounced back as of late, averaging about 15 points in total for the year, is 22, but, you know, bringing those guys back and seeing that Gary Trent is also a restricted free agent, that was tough, as essentially, we're giving up Norm because we don't want to pay him a bigger contract this summer. Right, so even though Gary Trent is restricted, we'll be more likely to keep him, and he'll be on a little bit of a lesser deal. I'm not sure what their specific value is going forward, but we're gonna have to pay Gary Trent Jr. too, and he is right now a step down than Norman Powell. So that was my initial reaction. Same as you, frustrated and stuff. But you look at it, Gary Trent Jr., 22 years old, Riker, a really strong defender. Right, he can shoot the three, not to the level Norman Powell is currently at now, but a lot of potential to grow. If the Raptors are throwing in the towel this year, are planning for the future, he could be a really nice piece, especially if he's at a budget compared to Norman Powell for the next few years.
Ben, the issue was not that Gary Trent Jr. may or may not be good. I see some people trying to defend that this trade was good, that it's decent, that I'm whack, that I'm not evaluating Gary Trent Jr.'s potential properly. That is not the issue. The issue is you have a guy who is 27 years old. He's still young. He's consistently a 20-point per game scorer. He's shooting 43% from three. He's shooting 49% from the field overall. You had reported teams. That means minimum 13 teams, up to 15 teams or more in the NBA that were shopping this guy. And you got back 0 picks and 0 players that were on a committed contract. So regardless if Gary Trent Jr. will be good or not, you have to pay him more money than what he's getting paid now. His future is uncertain, and you got 0 picks to show for it, Ben. It is embarrassing that this is the best deal that you could get when half of the entire league was on the table for this one. I don't care what people say defending Trent, because that's not what I'm arguing. I'm arguing that you made the worst trade possible for Norman Powell when he is on the up. He's on the up and up with his abilities, his trade market, his stock value, and you traded down, way down. Yikes.
Like, I get it, and I see Paul G, he's bringing up, I was just about to make that point, that the one thing about Norman Powell that makes it a bit risky, because obviously you and I wanted to keep Norman Powell. We've said that for this whole week. We've said it for the whole season. We want to keep Norman Powell. We think he'd be a great complement to this core that we have decided to move forward with Fred VanVleet's OG and Siakam. He's right at the exact same age as Fred VanVleet and Siakam. So Norm averaging a 20 piece, putting up 45% from the three-point line. Obviously it's a bit high, but the thing about this summer is the Pacers came out, maybe they did this just to mess with the Raptors, to deflate his value, but they said they're willing to give an absolute bag. They said overpay for Norman Powell this year's free agency, so maybe the Raptors were put in a position where they weren't going to be able to keep him regardless, right? Because people question whether Norman Powell was worth $20 million. If the Pacers are coming in with $30 million, high 20s, then that's just something we won't be able to deal with. People are cheesing always in the chat with Woj.
People are saying Woj. They're saying Lou's traded.
Yeah,
Lou Williams for Rajon Rondo.
Yeah, that's Lou Williams said if he gets traded, he's going to retire. Why are they even trading for him? That's dumb. That's a Woj and Shams. Well, I got Twitter here, so I apologize if I'm looking at my phone if we get a bit disjointed at times. But to go back to Gary Trent Jr. and the Norman Powell trade, right? Like, Norman Powell, if he was going to be a lost cause, if he's going to end up on the Pacers regardless, then you could see where the value's gone there. But I think the initial shock, right? Because logically, it makes sense. And the Raptors have to be high on Gary Trent Jr., think his potential's there. He's taken significant steps forward. And you could look at this as a positive or a negative thing, Riker, because he was
a sneaky...
Yeah, he was a nobody last year. In the bubble, he bursted out on the scene. He's been improving exponentially right now. So maybe it's you're buying high on Gary Trent Jr. or the stock is about to Tesla and go super high.
Listen, he's a sneaky top 3-point shooting guard in the NBA this season. He's shooting 39%, so you're not taking a massive step down. I'm not arguing that Gary Trent Jr. is bad. That's not the argument. Rodney Hood is bad. Anybody that tries to challenge me that a Rodney Hood coming off an Achilles injury who hasn't seen 40 minutes on the court in the last 3 seasons is good
is not a steal, right?
Anybody trying to argue Rodney Hood is good is lost their brain cells. But Gary Trent Jr., he might be good. What's disappointing, and I am struggling to hear the argument to say that I'm incorrect in my assessment of this, what is not good is that you traded for no picks. When Norm's market value, when his trade value is as high as it's been in his entire career, you had a bidding war for him. You got 0 picks. Bad move. Let's brush over Matt Thomas for now, and let's break down Kyle Lowry, given there's only 28 minutes left until a move might happen. Let's talk about what's on table right now. It's supposedly Philadelphia, Miami Heat, but no hero. Go ahead.
Yeah, so apparently this could all be smoke and mirrors. We've been all over the place. The Clippers have been thrown out at some point today. We'll dive into that all right now. But as of right now, the Sixers are actually off the table. They said they ended up trading for George Hill, and the Raptors are obviously asking for Matisse Thybulle, Tyrese Maxey, and 2 first-round picks, and then probably a Danny Green to make the money work. The Sixers have said, that's way too much. We don't want to do this deal. I don't know why the Sixers have said that, because I think that's a steal for the Philadelphia 76ers. Long term, it might affect them, but we're of the belief that it would put them into championship contention right now. So that's a bit silly, a bit
the issue is if Lowry truly says he wants $50 million over the next 2 years, and any team thinks that someone might offer him that, and the 76ers specifically already have $34 million a year locked up in Tobias Harris, I could see why they'd be hesitant to trade their young guys.
Yeah, like I can see it, right? But they're in win now. The Raptors sacrificed Marc Gasol, Jonas Valanciunas, DeLon Wright to win a championship. You're not going to give up a guy that doesn't shoot threes. Yes, he's a defender, and yes, I really want Matisse Thybulle, but a guy that's not really there right now, and a Tyrese Maxey who's had one real good game for you this season, to get Kyle Lowry, NBA champion, the guy that knocked you out in your best potential year when you had 5 All-Stars in your starting lineup. I don't know. I think that's a foolish take from the Philadelphia 76ers. But this isn't a Sixers talk because we'll dive into all the Lowry reports. The most updated news on Lowry, we've obviously talked about the previous deals the Heat have offered. Duncan Robinson is in a potential Heat deal, right? That's currently a thing the Raptors could get, apparently. But they do not want to give up Tyler Hero, and that's holding up a trade. And apparently, Shams came out and said, the silliest of news that I've heard for a while, that another part that's holding up this Kyle Lowry trade is the fact that Talen Horton-Tucker is not, I don't even know his name, right, is not in this trade. So Why on earth would the Raptors trade Kyle Lowry for Talon Horton Tucker, Riker?
Talon.
Talon,
I think it's Talon.
Pingus, whatever his name is, right? Why on earth would the Raptors trade Kyle Lowry for Talon Horton Tucker?
Talon. I think.
Is it Talon? No.
Dude, it's Talon. Sure.
No, it might be, but Jalen.
Okay, listen. Dumb is the banner of this trade deadline. Dumb. Just idiotic moves from Raptors front office, main office. Listen, you're telling me that Talon Horton Tucker needs to be a sticking point in the trade. Who is it? You're telling me that you're not going to make a trade because Harrow's not on the board when Duncan Robinson and Achua were offered, but now you're looking at the Lakers for Schroeder, KCP, and Horton Tucker, no picks. Schroeder, who's on his last year, you're going to cut him anyways. KCP, who's never done anything in the last 3 years on the Los Angeles Lakers, he's just there, and he gets the benefit of playing with LeBron. And then Horton Tucker, who I've never even heard of because I think he only played like 5 games for the Lakers this season. This is another one. My emotions are coming to a forefront, Ben, but this is what I feel like. The Lakers are always just insert to inject the bandwagon NBA fans that don't actually follow the NBA. They just know the Lakers name. So they say these things, these absurd trade scenarios, just to get people interested, just to get people talking. If the Raptors accept this one, I'm officially starting a Fire Masai petition. I'm halfway there with the Norm Powell, but I'm officially starting it. If it's KCB, Schroeder, and Talon Horton Tucker, make an argument for that comment section. That one is disgusting. That one's terrible.
So I'm not on the Fire. We will see. If we lose Gary Trent Jr. in the offseason, I'm on the bandwagon. I agree with you there, but I'm not on it. I think this move has potential. It could go really good for the Raptors. It could go really bad. The Blazers won. But if the Raptors do this Lakers trade, if they do this, what are we doing? KCP provides no value to this team right now whatsoever. No upside, no nothing. Dennis Schroeder, he's a free agent at some point as well. He gets he's a good player, but Lowry's better. So I don't know why you get a win now player in Schroeder when you're giving away Lowry. You're trying to tank. That just makes zero sense to me, especially when we just brought in 2 more guards. We don't need another off-ball guard in Dennis Schroeder. And someone in the chat said it's Talon, so I don't know what the Talon. We don't care.
Wow, it is Talon. Interesting.
Yeah, we don't care. We don't want, like, he's got a long wingspan. He can shoot. Yes, he dropped 28 points in the preseason, Riker. Like, that's great, you know? But this is Kyle Lowry. We were talking Tyler Hero and Precious Achua and picks and this sort of return for Kyle Lowry. Talon Horton Tucker? No, he's got a 7'1 wingspan. You know who had a 7'6 wingspan? Bruno Caboclo. You can pick him up in free agency immediately. So it's got to be smoke and mirrors. It's got to be with the Sixers backing out and trying to get rid of this trade war, because apparently they're still interested if the Raptors are willing to accept something less. But if this just has to be the smoke, but even this is diminishing Lowry's trade value to think Talon's holding up a trade, because this is stupid, Riker. I'm throwing out the gold star out here. We haven't thrown in many animations in this because this is whack.
Oh, man. Ben, listen, this is what I'm saying, is that ESPN broke down this morning that they thought it was Dennis Schroeder, KCP, and Talon Horton Tucker for Kyle Lowry with the Lakers. And then on the Heat side, they said the most likely trade, again, this is ESPN this morning, said the most likely trade with the Heat is Iguodala, Harkless, who has now already been traded in the Bjelica package, and a filler in, I don't even know if they said none, but it wasn't Achua, it wasn't none, it wasn't Duncan Robinson. Stephen A. Smith is saying if I was the Miami Heat, I wouldn't trade Tyler Hero or Duncan Robinson for Kyle Lowry. So we obviously overinflated Norman Powell's market value.
We got the reports that Duncan, Precious, and
it had already been offered. But this is the thing. They've made a mistake now in trading Norman Powell for significantly lower, right? If you have 15 teams that are all vying for him and you trade Norman Powell for not even a single first-round pick or second-round pick, what does that indicate when there's only 2 teams in the mix for Kyle Lowry? I can offer way less. So if they had at one point the Heat, Precious Achiuwa, Duncan Robinson, you would take that now in 5 seconds. You'd take that now in a flash of a second if that was offered again. My fear is that that's been removed from the table, from the negotiations, because they know Kyle Lowry, he's not going for anything at this point.
Yeah, and that's could be there, and that's one thing I agree with too. Sure, if you want to do this Blazers deal, I'm not traumatized by it. I don't think it's that bad of a deal. I think it could be that bad of a deal, but it also could be a steal, right? It's a risky move in my opinion. We'll see what happens, right? It's something we'll project in the future, and we'll talk about this as we go through all the trade deadline topics. We have new people in the chat currently right now. We talked about the Norman Powell deal a lot earlier, but if you're going to do the Norman Powell deal, do it after you trade Kyle Lowry, right? Have Norman Powell floating over Miami's heads, over Philadelphia's heads. Oh, well, if you don't want to do this, if Miami, you don't want to give us Precious, we're going to send Norman Powell to the Sixers and get you knocked out in the second round, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, have that keep your leverage. I don't understand the strategy here. Now, Woj could come out and quiet both of us in 20 seconds with a proper Lowry trade, but with all the reports, with all the rumors, with everything that's going on, like, this could be bad. This could be really bad for the Raptors.
And for people that are new to the chat, I think everybody is unanimous to say that Gary Trent Jr. is a good young player. He's shooting 39% from three. I wouldn't say great.
He could be great. Not right now.
But he's not big. He's not big. He's just another small guard that he doesn't do exceptionally well off the pick and roll. I believe he's 33% field goal percentage off pick and roll. He shoots about 35% from the mid-range, and his best shooting percentage is 39% from three. So you're not getting a lot of interior scoring, which would be the same complaint that you'd have for Fred VanVleet, but he's very young. He fits with that timeline of rebuild if you decide to re-sign him. Rodney Hood, you're obviously not going to pay him this $10 million next year, but you don't have to pay out that contract. It's not a bad deal. I'm frustrated that they didn't get any picks back for Norman Powell, considering how high his trade value was and that there was 15 teams in the mix. That's not a terrible trade. People don't need to hang their heads on that. The issue now is that because that trade happened, like you said, Kyle Lowry's trade value, that's sort of an indication that his trade value is much lower than what we had heard leading up to this trade deadline, that you could get Achiuwa, Duncan Robinson, etc. But while we're waiting for that news, I think it's worthwhile to bring up Matt Thomas.
And just briefly, I pulled up Trent's size and stuff, and then we'll obviously talk about Matty T. But 6'5", 204, 209, so he's taller than Norm. He can play the two. He's a regular size shooting guard in the NBA. Yeah, I wouldn't call him a small guard. He's not a Terrence Davis or something running out there, Malachi Flynn playing in the off ball. So I think he has the potential. Again, he's 22 years old, Ryker. He's right now in the season 15 points, an assist, a rebound, but shooting 40% from three, shot 42% from three last season. He's on the upward trajectory. He's on that swing. So that's
and the creme de la creme, he is a restricted free agent. So the Raptors have the opportunity to match if they so decide.
Yeah, and
he doesn't have to walk.
We've had a lot of free agents leave us, so if the Pacers were giving us a bag, no matter how much Norman Powell loves the Raptors and he has a Raptors tattoo on his arm and all that, it's tough, right? UTG, right? But that's that. Before we get into Matt Thomas, Ryker, we brushed over him quickly. We quickly wrote him off. But Rodney Hood was once, a couple years ago, he was the big name at the trade deadline. And
Ben, can we just skip past Rodney Hood and talk about Matt Thomas, please?
Last season, he averaged 11 points per game. He's, in theory, a good shooter, a decent scorer. We have issues off the bench. I think he'll be in the Raptors rotation, Ryker.
He'll be in the rotation because we don't have a lot of small forward, power forward, sort of stretch 3-4 wings.
Yeah.
So, of course, he's going to hit that spot because our next guy in that position is Bembry, Stanley Johnson, right? And I think that Rodney Hood should be an improvement to those two, just in terms of his experience in the NBA, actually playing in the starting lineups, rotations from time to time, being a little bit more polished from distance. So yeah, I mean, he's there. You're not going to re-sign him for next season at $10.5 million. And fortunately, you're able to release him without having to pay out his contract. So that's not bad. And again, restricted free agent in Trent Jr. So you can match his contract. He won't just walk if you want to pay him. Now, I'm looking to see if somebody just mentioned Alize Johnson. He actually got picked up by the Brooklyn Nets, I believe, on a 10-day, which is pretty funny. But let's talk about Matt Thomas before, again, 15 minutes before deadline. So hopefully some Kyle Lowry news
Something
breaks before
happens.
then.
Okay. Well, yeah, we'll talk about Matty T. Okay, we'll talk
No,
about.
I know what you want to say. What
What
will
if we
happen if we
don't
end up
trade?
trade and we kept Lowry?
Yeah,
We traded Norm.
What if we keep Lowry and trade Norm? Let us know in the
Just
in the
how
chat.
stupid that is. Yeah.
That's a
Again,
gold star.
dumb,
That's a.
dumb.
I'm getting really sad now. We're 15 minutes in. We need as sad as I was last night. We need to trade Lowry if we trade it Norm. Like that is just silliness. That's just
because what are you
foolishness.
trading him? You're going deeper into the tank now in trading Norm. You don't want to make a push with this team. This is not a championship team. You want to tank. You want to get some draft compensation.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm starting to get upset about this, Ben. Let's switch it into talks about Matt
Let's
Thomas.
have some fun with Matt Thomas. We have a. You know, he's a guy, he once got us, I think, 70k views, 60k views on a video in his intro vid. People were excited. The best shooter in the world, some people called him. He may be that. He did.
You know he's going to get good on Utah. We're
talking about that after. We'll talk about his career as a Raptors first. Because I wanna say something first. Okay? Because he showed he was a great shooter. But this man was allergic to shooting. He never wanted to let it fly, right? There was a defender within 5 feet of him. He'd take that extra dribble in and try to do a little fadeaway bank shot, right? He was nice from 3 when he'd take those shots, and then he just wouldn't let it fly. Matt Thomas, he has the potential, and I've brought it up on previous podcasts saying that if Matty Ice got traded to a team, I don't know, we brought up the Celtics in a theoretical one at some point, I don't know how. But Matt Thomas is going to end up on a team in the Eastern Conference at some point in his career. And we're going to have to play him 4 times a year. And he's going to average 12 threes per game against us. I guarantee it. It's going to happen for Matt Thomas. It would never happen on the Raptors, but it's going to happen to Matt Thomas in the future. So I'm happy he's out west for now.
The Jazz is a better defensive core than the Toronto Raptors. Toronto Raptors, on paper, they have good individual defenders, but we've been getting beat up by lesser teams for the past 12 games straight, Ben. So the Utah Jazz, they're first place in the West for a reason. Or no, they're not first. Are they first, or is it Phoenix that's first? Whatever.
Jazz
they're
are first,
close
yeah.
to the top. Yeah, I had it right. I thought so. Anyways, they're top of the West for a reason. It's because at the center, Rudy Gobert, the rest of the team commits. They even have unathletic guys like Bogdanovich. They have Joe Ingles. They have Yang or whatever his name is, right?
Yeah,
not terribly athletic perimeter defenders, but they play amazing team defense. You can hide bad individual defenders because the rest of the team plays really good sort of rotation basketball, which is why I think Matt Thomas could have a nicer career over in Utah. No ill will. I'm wishing the best for this man. I'm not devastated by this like the Norman Powell trade. And to get back a second, you know what we love to do with seconds, baby? Toss them to the G League, develop them, and eventually max them out, and then be really sad that we maxed them out.
Riker, I assume you said everything you said about Matt Thomas the same as you did pre-podcast, because I just got a little update. Shout out Danny Loveless, sending me some updates from Josh Lewenberg. Apparently the offers have been underwhelming for the Toronto Raptors in regards to Kyle Lowry, and the Raptors are okay with keeping Kyle Lowry past this deadline.
Yeah, we're keeping him. Can you imagine? Like, what do they expect from this franchise right now? Like, what do they expect? They expect we're going to re-sign Kyle Lowry. We're going to give him $20 million, just a legacy contract, just for the sake of it, and tank for the subsequent 3 years? Or do they expect that we're going to make a push now without Norman, that Rodney Hood and Gary Trent are going to make the difference, and we didn't solve our center issues, but it's all good. We're still going to be a championship team? Or are they saying, we honestly just don't care about the Raptors organization. Let's just keep Kyle Lowry just for the fans and absolutely play out 3 useless seasons, not tank, not do good, be a treadmill team. Those 3 outcomes are the most likely outcomes, in my opinion. None of them make sense. I'm questioning Masai Ujiri right now.
We were bamboozled, Riker. We were... I don't know what to think of this. I'm trying to comprehend. Drake is out here saying goodbye to Lowry in post-game interviews. We see him almost in tears walking out of the tunnel. And now we have Rodney Hood? We've replaced Norman Powell with Rodney Hood?
No, we've replaced Norman Powell with Gary Trent Jr., who is not as good, but still
Rodney
has
Hood?
potential.
What? Like, this has to be jokes. This has to be fake news because the Raptors. Oh my god!
Somebody said we got hoodwinked. That's hilarious.
Man, I apologize. We're live right now, and I don't know what to say because this team. Yes, Lowry's the GOAT. He's my favorite player of all time. Right? Like you want to see this man succeed. Right? You want to see this man be a beast, and you wanted to see him to do it on the Toronto Raptors. But when you give up the piece that's your win now piece, Lowry is prime win now, right? And we're talking now. He is an injury-prone point guard over the course of his career that thankfully hasn't had an injury. You and I haven't talked about it because we don't want to lessen his trade value by any means, but with 5 minutes left, I'm sure the GM of the Sixers isn't coming across this, but $25 million for Lowry next year and the year after? That's not what I'm trying to see. You know, like that's he deserves it, but he deserves it in a situation where it's he's going to take you over the top, right? Like he deserves that money when he's the difference between a conference finals and a championship. He doesn't deserve it when he's the difference between the 11th seed and the 5th seed. That's not what we're trying to go at here. This is a yikes.
And Bob Dole saying we might need to trade Riker and Ben for some first round picks. I would be okay with that if it landed the Raptors in a better position. This is the second thing I want to say before I get a little bit more serious about things. Is Ben, I think we need to follow Norman Powell now. I think we need to incorporate a segment into our typical reaction podcast, just highlighting what Norman Powell has done on a nightly basis, because I think it's a really good situation that Norman Powell, who obviously you want to see thrive, he's going to have the opportunity to make a playoff push with the Portland Trailblazers. Like this undoubtedly makes their team stronger. So good for him. I want to say this. I'm rooting for his success in the West.
And I love the Portland Trailblazers. Like, I love that team. So I'm excited to see Norm show what he can do in that Western Conference, see what can really happen. Legion Hoops tweeted the Heat have offered Duncan Robinson in a trade package for Kyle Lowry.
Take it.
Would you take it even if no Precious is involved?
Because, okay, this is the issue, is Duncan Robinson's not a restricted free agent. So you're going to have to pay him. He supposedly wants $20 million. Now, his performance, thankfully, has dropped significantly, so you might be able to keep him, but you'd have the pressure from all those lesser team. Well, we're a lesser team now, too. Bigger markets that could maybe offer him more money, that have more cap space. So somebody's saying breaking Philly wants Lowry after all. Blah, blah, blah.
Danny Green has reportedly been texted, expect to be traded. I'm not sure what team other than us is trading for Danny Green this far.
Why are we trading for Danny Green,
Jenny
though?
Driscoll
You're trading Danny
offseason?
Green to flip him. That's funny. That's funny.
Shout out Simon Long.
Man. This is unbelievable. 730 people all holding their breath, waiting to see it.
We have 730 people in this chat?
Yeah. Well, 715 now. You scared 15 of them away, Ben. Jeez. I'm joking. Pop into the like section. I'll give that sort of shout out now. Yeah. And let me... TD gone. Terrence Davis, TD gone, Wojbom, Terrence Davis gone. Holy... Who do we get back?
For future second round picks! But if we're trading Terrence Davis and we're trading Matt Thomas, this means, right? This means
we're committing to the tank.
We have roster spots. No, we have roster spots open. Like I don't think we move this. I don't think we move Matt Thomas and TD if we're not getting roster spots back.
Okay, I want to say thank you to everybody for being so diligent in spamming Terrence Davis, because it did catch our eye. I would think that this means cap space, buyout market, LaMarcus Aldridge, because you're not getting Andre Drummond.
LaMarcus Aldridge, bro.
You're not getting Andre Drummond.
Yeah, we're not getting any of them. We're not getting any of those guys.
True.
Bro, there has to be something. We get for a second round pick, just one? Okay, it's another roster spot opened up. Okay.
Update. Somebody's saying Raptors have asked teams for finally offers.
Yeah.
Somebody's saying Miami trade incoming.
Yep. Brian Windhorst said that essentially that the Raptors are putting in their final offers, which makes sense because the deadline is now. So that, we got 5 minutes. I don't know what.
Speaking of that, I'm gonna make sure that my meeting isn't going crazy. So you hold the fort. I'm gonna be right back.
I'll put my thing here. Riker's at work. I have an assignment due in like 4 or 5 hours, so I really need to get on that. But we're making this live happen. This is the exciting time. But I want to react to this Terrence Davis situation a bit right now. I'll throw back just the general Raptors GIF loop. But TD is a guy that obviously showed a lot of potential last season. Obviously had a really poor bubble. Had all the off-the-court issues going on. Thankfully, they've been solved, it seems like, in the U.S. and all that. But TD just really hasn't bounced back on the court. He's a guy that's really struggled in really every area of the season. Defense, IQ, decision making on the basketball court, right? He's a turnover machine this season. So for all the potential he showed last year, it really just hasn't come to fruition this season.
But you're saying that Matt Thomas and Terrence Davis are the exact same trade value, which does surprise me. Sorry, I didn't have my hands level there. Exact same trade value.
Yeah, so they're, I guess,
but
technically
me.
A Kings second round pick is a lot nicer than a Jazz one in theory. So
yeah, that's fair. So
maybe TD gets more trade value. I'm still peeking at the Woj stuff. I have everyone texting me saying roster spots are open, right?
Let me ask you this, Ben, because we're 4 minutes away. This is pertinent. Your response. If the Raptors don't trade Kyle Lowry, does that mean that they're still trying to make the playoffs this year?
We traded Norman Powell, no.
Why keep Kyle Lowry? If you're trying to tank, why keep Kyle Lowry? Like, why are you hurting this man to not put him in a win now situation? If he's, I don't know. Unless he said, I want to be on this tanking team just so I can finish my career in Toronto rather than go and get the same money.
Like, I'm not going to be... No. I just want to say this. If Lowry wants to be in Toronto and he's all in, right, that's great for next season. That's respect, right? Lowry, I think, still has value, even if it's an overpay, right? I think he still has a lot of value the next 2 years, especially if he stays healthy, right? He will help us on our quest to potentially get back to a championship position, right? Especially if we get a high draft pick this year, if we have a Warrior season. But I don't think it makes sense for us to not do that sort of thing, to be a 10th seed rather than a 14th seed right now, just at the end of this year. So that's a thing there.
No Lonzo trade. No, he supposedly was going to go to the Bulls potentially for Markkanen. That's the most recent thing that I heard. Bulls are looking clean with Vucevic. I thought if we did that Philly trade early and we brought in Maxey, Tybull, 2 picks, we could have flipped that into our own Vucevic trade, which would have been nice. Then we would have trade Lowry, not trade Norman Powell, whatever. Anyways, Ben, I want to throw it out to the comment section.
And JJ Redick's gone to the Mavericks as well. Just giving people,
I like that.
Giving people all the updates. As I'm looking at my phone. I usually try to look at the camera, but we gotta keep our eyes peeled for everything.
777. Pop into the like section.
We're on the road to 20,000 subscribers too.
Ben, final 2 minutes. I say if you have the segment loaded up, but comment section, if the Raptors don't trade Kyle Lowry in 2 minutes, are we trying to tank still or are we trying to make the playoffs? What do you guys think? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, and we'll play the segment.
2 minutes left.
Woo!
Beep,
woo!
Beep. Wee wee wee
woo! That'll
wee
woo! Beep 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 beep. That's right. The final alarm has gone off, folks. 2 minutes left till this trade deadline. Right? Obviously, they can get over pushed the deadline if the offers are in. So we'll see what actually occurs with this. It's 1 minute now. What are people thinking? We want the playoffs. People are saying a lot of playoffs in there. Playoffs tank.
Yeah, but okay. Well, I should have clarified. Do you want to tank or are we trying to tank? That's the question, I suppose. Everybody's saying it here now.
Man, if we trade TD and Matt Thomas for just
split.
seconds out of nowhere, that doesn't make any sense. There has to be a deal coming. Somebody
said he'd stay. I don't know, man. We're at it. We're at the final seconds. This is history or it's not. This is bum status or it's not. I think that this was dumb, Ben. Dumb. Just a dumb trade deadline. Walmart trade deadline. I have my other... Oh, I lost my other Walmart shirt. It's a Walmart trade deadline.
when people are playing this back and Lowry gets traded in like 10 seconds, they'll be roasting us.
True.
But
Drummond just got bought out. You know he's going to sign with the Nets for nothing because he just cashed in his $27 million and now will take $1 million from the Nets to win a championship.
Do we sign Andre Drummond to play shooting guard?
I would do it.
Man,
It's over. It's over. 3 p.m. 3 p.m. 3 p.m.
3 p.m. 4:30 Newfoundland time, folks. Now, to be fair, we have had deals go over the clock a little bit. This is a thing that occurs. And if the Raptors have their final offers in, which Brian Windhorst has said has happened, right, then that is what it is. All right. What are the odds this trade happens? Quickly. Because I know you got to go.
0%. It's not happening, I'm saying.
You're saying 0? I'm saying 50-50. We had this man's... We basically retired his jersey last night. We had him in the chat. We had all this stuff happening. Man.
Then everybody's saying L. By that response, this overwhelming response in the chat, everybody's putting L. I think everybody agrees he should have been dealt, right? Just out of respect to Kyle Lowry, to put him in a better situation to win at the twilight of his career. And we know he's walking. We know he's not committing to the Raptors after the season, to at least have got something back. Even if it's lower than what you wanted, get something back, move this team forward towards a tank season and then a rebuild around our core in Fred VanVleet, OG, and Siakam. Now I'm very uncertain as to the future for the Toronto Raptors for the short term.
To be fair, Oladipo was 100% guaranteed to get traded. And he hasn't been moved either. So deals could still be coming in. I don't know.
I'm shocked that Vucevic got traded for Wendell Carter Jr. Again, if we had to have traded. Yeah, but we... yeah.
2 firsts. And Bulls
I would have
first.
traded...
Like, the Bulls firsts are valuable.
Oh, true. They are valuable, huh?
Yeah, they're firsts. Like, they're, like, probably
those are
firsts.
True firsts, yeah.
There's not, like, the Bucks first or something like that.
People are saying Terrence Davis, Sacramento. I'm surprised that they're just stacking up on guards, but whatever.
Yeah, and they got DeLon Wright, too. Like...
Yeah,
they got
that's a worse situation for him.
Yeah, they got Halliburton. They got Fox, obviously. But
dog's gone. I'm a mute.
Going wild. You're getting muted. But, man, I'm just reacting here. I keep checking the Twitter. I'm like you guys in the chat right now. This is a big L if nothing happens. Right, I'm just waiting for something to occur. Riker, I'll swing it just to myself while the dog is a barking. I know you got to go soon as well.
I got to take off for a work meeting, so I'll sign off here anyways while the dog is barking.
Yeah.
Ben, break it down for us. I'll watch the rest after.
All right. Yeah, shout out Rikers here. I'll keep it I'm just deflated. I'm deflated, guys. I'm going to start incorporating the chat a little bit. Got the puppers. Are you leaving? Okay. Oh, my bad. All right, so this is back here. Zebra. All right, so yeah, we're back. I apologize. I'm gonna stay on here for a little bit. Keep checking the deals. The one thing that really interests me about everything that's occurred, which Riker said there's a 0% chance we acquire someone at this point, but I think it could still happen. We just seen another deal go through. The Bulls traded Mo Wagner for Daniel Tice. Tiny Tice is gone. That leaves Robert Williams a spot to ball out for the Boston Celtics. But, you know, deals still come in. We've seen a lot of stuff happen in the past. But if we're trading Terrence Davis, Matt Thomas, just for second-round picks out of nowhere, I don't really see how that makes any sense. Right? I don't see how that really gets... Like, you do that deal for roster spots, right? You don't do that deal. The Raptors aren't acquiring anyone in the buyout market, right? They're still, if we're tanking, you could have seen what those guys could have given you because they're still on cheap contracts. Second round picks, yes, they're valuable in some sense, but their stuff really going down. I'm real deflated, guys. I'm gonna see what you guys think. Throw out some numbers in the chat. What are the % chances Lowry gets traded at this point? Right? Like, I want to see this. JJ Redick to the Mavs. That's their JPEG. Norman Powell for some peanuts. That is certainly something that occurred, at least for this season. Gary Trent Jr. could be good in the future. we got Drummond? No, we didn't. The Raptors did not get Drummond, did we? I'm getting caught into fake news because I'm reading these comments too much. But trades can still happen. It's not over. Come on, Raps. Right, we're pulling for something to occur. It's a big L. This is certainly a big L. 20%, 10%, 5, 15. You guys are that low on a Kyle Lowry trade happening? I'm going to go till we get some feedback. Something regarding Kyle Lowry updates, right? Like some indication from Woj, from Shams, or, we're a bit of time into it, because I do have a bit of work to do. I have quite a bit of work to do, actually. So what are all you guys saying? The numbers are still there. We still have Aaron Baines, right? We can I'll get back to me. Animations are about to go wild, so I apologize for this. We got the Baines, got the Damare, OGs, Pascal, and then this camera isn't working, so I'll stick back to this one. But Gary Trent is on a rookie deal, so no. But Gary Trent, this right now is Gary Trent's restricted free agency, so it really doesn't make sense as to why we trade for him right now. Yes, he's on a cheap deal this year, but we're looking for the future with Gary Trent. We're looking to next season. This is when we're looking for the future. Check Woj, people are telling me. Brad Wanamaker to the Charlotte Hornets. Maybe that means, what's his name? Danny Green's getting to the Warriors. Apparently they're interested with him. The last thing from Woj, guys, is that there's no Lonzo Ball trade. At this point, I might trade Kyle Lowry to the Pelicans for Lonzo Ball. Like, I'd be more up for that. We've told Lowry we're moving on, right? We've told him, like, guys, cheer me up, right? We need something in this chat to really get the excitement going. Baines, we trust. Who is the tank commander if we go forward with this roster? Who, in your opinion, guys, should we fall behind and lead in the way to a tank? Because that's a situation there. There's still trades coming in, guys. So this is a thing to look out for. But Terrence Davis moved to Sacramento. What do you think is the worst trade of the day? That's what I want to hear from your folks. We got 3 trades. We got Norman Powell to the Blazers, Matt Thomas to the Jazz, and Terrence Davis to the Sacramento Kings. So firstly, what is the worst trade for the Raptors right now, right? Like, just in terms of what we lost. And what is the worst trade, right? The worst trade in terms of who's going to bite us in the future. Because I think Matt Thomas will come back to bite us in the future. I don't think he would have been good for the Raptors, but I think he'll be good somewhere else. So people want the Aaron Baines animation. Now all of these are going to play too. We got that going. Spicy P. We got 2 of me going. You can see what it looks like. I got two Zoom chats, right? I can play the Aaron Baines animation here. But I'm eating time. I'm trying to keep the content going until we hear word. We hear some word, right? That Kyle Lowry's on the move. Or he's staying. Because I'm sure there's going to be something happening. Malachi Flynn is getting serious minutes. That's one thing. If there's a winner from this trade deadline, right? If there is a winner from this trade deadline, it is certainly Malachi Flynn. That's a guy that is a big winner from this deadline. As TD, Matt Thomas, guys that were probably in the upper echelon of the rotation compared to him for a while, they are gone. Norman Powell is gone. So that's that's the stuff. People like the double the bend. I'm getting weird with this here. The Aaron Baines animation pops up. I can make this look pretty clean. I apologize if this gets a little bit rambly as we wait for Kyle Lowry news to occur. Guys, it might be over. It might be over. Houston is trading Victor Oladipo to the Miami Heat. Victor Oladipo is gone to the Miami Heat. That essentially knocks the Raptors out of contention for Lowry going to the Heat, I assume. Right? We haven't got an official word on Kyle Lowry's situation, but if I'm going to get that out of here, but if Oladipo gone to Miami, so I guess we're keeping him. If the Heat aren't into it, Duncan Robinson's out there. I assume they would have had to give up some value to the Houston Rockets. to get Victor Oladipo. Maybe the Lakers maybe we're sending him to the Lakers. Maybe we don't have any other choice. Dennis Schroeder, something. Oh my God, Norman. Okay, that's a Leo's cheesing me. I thought Norman Powell tweeted "Forever Canada," but he did not. He tweeted that in 2016. Where's Lowry going? Right, so it could be Philadelphia. Actually, it could be Philadelphia. This could be the situation. This could be something that has gone on. In theory, if Depot is gone to the Miami Heat, right? And I'm speculating, I will be proven wrong in 5 minutes or proven right. But if Oladipo is gone to Miami, that surely means Kyle Lowry's not gone there because the contracts won't line up. It would be messy. So there's two real situations this could go. And someone said Philly backed out already. That's fake news. They traded for George Hill. They wanted to get out of the trade war that they were having with the Miami Heat. So that's the route that they went when they traded for George Hill. But they still had Mike Scott, so they could still make the money work in terms of a Kyle Lowry trade. So potentially Maxey, potentially a couple of picks. The Raptors could still acquire Kyle Lowry from the Philadelphia 70. And I was just proven wrong. Adrian Wojnarowski came out and said the Raptors are officially keeping Kyle Lowry. Oh, geez. How do I take this in? If we kept Norman Powell, if we didn't have a week of rumors, if we didn't have all this stuff going on, this is surely better than that Lakers trade. I will say that firmly, right? Than that deal that was going on with the LA Lakers for Schroeder and Caldwell Pope and this, right? This is surely better than that. But and Lowry's a GOAT, right? Lowry's a GOAT. But if he leaves in free agency next summer, if he leaves for nothing, or worse, we pay him a bag to come back, like a bag, I'm talking big money. And he deserves it, but we're not in championship contention right now. We are not in championship contention right now. That's what where Lowry provides the value. Is this the worst case scenario? Is this the worst case scenario for the Toronto Raptors? Because weeks ago, before all the rumors, before everything that was reported that we reacted to, we said, you move on from Kyle Lowry. He's a bit older than the core group, right? He's older than those guys, right? You trade Kyle Lowry and you get back some players that fit more of the timeline. The Duncan Robinsons, the Preciouses, the picks. We've heard that Precious, Duncan, and none were on the table for the Raptors, right? You make a move for Lowry, you keep Norman Powell, you ride out this season however it goes, and then see what happens in the offseason. You rock with your core. But then we heard Norman Powell was surely getting dealt. We're like, oh, we're proper tanking, right? So there's 0 sense in keeping Kyle Lowry, right? And it made sense if you keep Norman Powell because I think that's the best roster as of right now. But, man, that is interesting. That is an interesting situation for the Raptors. There's a Woj tweet from 2014 showing the Raptors have shown significant reluctance to part ways with Kyle Lowry, preferring to make a playoff run with him. Maybe that's something that will occur. Look, Masai Ujiri has made some big mistakes recently. And letting Serge Ibaka go, right? Even though we were on the quest for Giannis, we spearheaded that. But you pay Serge a big contract for a 1-year deal, right? You should have kept him, right? We don't know what's going to happen with this Norman Powell-Gary Trent trade. Trent has a lot of potential, right? He could certainly be great for this Toronto Raptors team, but we just don't know at this point. We don't know what his value will be, but trading TD and Thomas for nothing, and someone even just said that, Patrick A, right? Trading them for nothing, opening up roster spots, they're your young guys, right? Those are the potential pieces. I don't think Malachi Flynn has shown enough to really be better than both of, to show that he's surely better than both of those guys. Maybe he's younger. I don't even think he is, right? We did all that, so we kept Kyle Lowry. So we're interested in competing this year. I assume, right? I assume that's the route, but we didn't get a center. If we're gonna compete this year, we heard the rumors of Rashawn Holmes. Could you not have gotten Rashawn Holmes? Maybe if you packaged Matt Thomas and TD to the Kings, you could have got Rashawn Holmes. And then Oladipo's gone to the Heat. Right? The East got a lot better. George Hill's on the Sixers. The Celtics got Fournier. And we gave up a 20-point per game score. For Rodney Hood. We've been hoodwinked, folks. We've been bamboozled. We've been cheesed. The fake news is real. The reports from Woj, from everyone saying that Lowry is basically on the table. We missed JaVale McGee. Shout out DC. We're not getting anyone on the buyout market done out here. This is insane. This is, I don't know how to react, how to feel. I am happy that Kyle Lowry, I will see Kyle Lowry play in a Raptors uniform again. For my own personal likingness to Lowry, he's the Raptors GOAT. Any success that we have, I want it to be shared with Kyle Lowry, but long term, you make a long-term deal for Trent. You could have went all out and really set us up for the future. But now we're stuck on that treadmill. We're stuck in that mediocrity, it seems, as if that's the case. With Lowry on the roster, we're not going to be able to tank, I feel like. Unless we rest him. Right? Supposedly sanity, everyone that's talking about all this. We didn't even get a center. A moment of silence for ponderance, for thought. I don't know. I'm gonna scroll through Twitter one last time, get the most updated information, and see. Marquise Chris has gone to the Spurs. Exciting stuff, guys. Avery Bradley, Olynyk, and a pick gone to the Rockets. I'm going to end it here, folks. We've been hoodwinked. We've been bamboozled. We've been cheesed. And it's not that I'm pro Kyle Lowry leaving, because this whole season I wanted the Raptors to keep Kyle Lowry. But then after you get the COVID, you get a bunch of players with the virus, right? You're in a hole, right? You're in a hole. Lowry's only getting older. You get value for him now. And the reported deals that were on the table for Kyle Lowry before all this madness happened, if we made a move last night for the deals that were offered, we could have been perfectly positioned for the future. Instead, we gave away Norman Powell, averaging a 20-piece for this team, providing great defense, shooting 45% from the three-point line, for a guy that, yes, has potential. He has the potential to be great, and we'll make a whole video breaking down specifically Trent and Rodney Hood winked in maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow, likely tomorrow, right? We'll break all that down, but it's not a sure thing. There is a world where Gary Trent Jr. he had a good bubble, he falls back down to earth from the hot streak he's had recently. He started off the year not looking too hot for the Portland Trail Blazers. There's a world where that goes poorly. And we gave up Norman Powell, a man of Raptors culture, a man that has a Raptors tattoo on his arm, He's a bucket getter. He has that demeanor. He's a grinder. Maybe Trent could be that. Maybe Hood will surprise us. Maybe those second round picks we've gotten from the Jazz and the Kings, maybe they'll surprise us. But it's not looking good right now. And Masai Ujiri, right? We don't even know if he's going to be here next season. We don't even know. People are wondering if Masai Ujiri's throwing this roster, throwing something so he gets a bigger contract to fix it all. I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm sure something will occur. OG doesn't think something will occur. I'm reading the chat. I'm just reading the chat now at this point. Anyways, there's how many people are in this chat? I want to give a shout out to everyone in this stream. There are 750 people in this stream currently. Shout out to all of you. This was a moment in Raptors history that we all lived through. Not trading Kyle Lowry. It could be a great decision. It could very well be a horrific decision. We lived through it together. But again, the Raptors, they have an interesting year going forward. So we shall see. We shall see what happens. You guys are the best for making this far. I'm going to plug it right now. Hop into the like section because that really helps out our videos. Subscribe to the channel. You know, we have a lot. The thing about this though, it will be a fun rest of the year. As if we tanked right now, right, if we traded Lowry for future assets, right, it would have been predictable what's going to happen and this sort of things. Now we just really don't know. So you got to stay subscribed to the Raptors Digest. We're on the road to 20k subscribers. I'm going back to the base, right? On the road to 20k subscribers. Ryker and I are going to play a game of one-on-one once we get to 20k. And I guarantee you, it will be more satisfying than this trade deadline. I don't know, guys. Check out the Instagram. Check out the TikTok. At Raptors Digest on TikTok. Right, that's the stuff. That's the stuff. Please subscribe. We'd really appreciate it, especially after all of that stuff. I don't know. I gotta do an AI assignment. I gotta do some Bayesian network stuff. So, any more news that comes in, maybe the Woj stuff is fake and Lowry gets traded as soon as I go off. I'll come back right on. But yeah, check out our videos. Check out our most recent videos. They're probably late right now, right? But it's y'all are the best. Y'all are the best. DeMar didn't even get traded, guys. DeMar didn't even get traded. DeMar, I see DeMar's name. Is DeMar DeRozan DeMar? What's this DeMar stuff? What is this? You make it. I was about to sign off, and people are saying DeMar. I'm waiting for someone to react. Is that fake news? Am I gonna have to end out this video on some fake news? Okay, I think it's fake news. I'm assuming it's fake news. If we do get tomorrow, I'll hop back on and I'll be happier. I'll get the balloons playing, but yeah. We're getting baited by fake news. We're getting baited by all this. Anyways.